Before we begin, we do have some exciting announcements. Next Sunday, Artie Hartzell will be speaking to us, and Artie's topic is If We Can Keep It. This is a message that is focused on the 250th anniversary of the United States, and this will be a very poignant and timely message from Artie. Artie is the Senior Research Specialist at Princeton University's Bridging Divides Initiative, monitoring far-right extremism. So we really look forward to hearing Artie next Sunday. And our meetup this month for dinner has been changed, the date, moved up 1 week, August 18th, 6:30, and we're going to meet for dinner at Optimist Hall. And all the information and address is in our newsletter, so can't wait for that. We are working with Time Out Youth. They need lots of supplies. So this is a list of the items that we are partnering with them to help. And if you can drop them off at my house, drop them off at Time Out Youth, or bring them to any of our meetups, I will get them to Time Out Youth, but they are in great need. And don't forget, we have a community calendar that you can resource through our newsletter that has community events that we think Wedgwood people might be interested in attending. But we are glad you are here this morning. We've got a lot of people out because of the spectrum situation, plus summer travels, and we miss them and hope to see them back next Sunday. But welcome to Wedgwood. Wedgwood is proud to be an open-minded, culturally diverse, service-oriented community. We are interfaith, and our members come from all religious and spiritual backgrounds, and some from no religious or spiritual background. We want to provide a safe haven for all of us to explore our beliefs, share, question our beliefs, sometimes doubt our beliefs, and grow spiritually and intellectually together. We hope you find something here at Wedgwood today that brings you back next Sunday. As a community that considers social justice to be a cornerstone of who we are, we always like to acknowledge that the land we are residing on is the unceded land of the Catawba and the Sugaree people. And now Tom has our quiet reflection this morning that comes from the First Nation version of the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8.
Love is patient and kind. Love is never jealous. It does not brag or boast. It is not puffed up or big-headed. Love does not act in shameful ways, nor does it care only about itself. It is not hot-headed, nor does it keep track of wrongs done to it. Love is not happy with lies and injustice, but truth makes its heart glad. Love keeps walking even when carrying a heavy load. Love keeps trusting, never loses hope, and stands firm in hard times. The road of love has no end.
A beautiful translation, I think, for that scripture. And now our extravagant welcome.
We are all welcome here.
Welcome to a community that works for peace, justice, equality, and the care of Mother Earth.
We are all welcome here.
An extravagant welcome to you because of your gender identification, sexual orientation, ethnicity, economic situation, physical and mental challenges, doubting or believing, being depressed or full of joy.
We are all welcome here.
We are a community of curious and creative spiritual seekers striving to learn and embody the way of Jesus and other spiritual leaders.
We are all welcome here.
We focus on the plundered and the marginalized as we try to address the major issues of our day.
We are all welcome here.
You are invited to share your passion, your inspiration, and your personal story as one of the ways to help heal the world.
We are all welcome here.
We are all welcome here. And now we come to our time of meditation and prayer. And I've had a couple requests sent in of people that could not be here this morning. Um, Dwan Budden has asked her dear friend who is Ukrainian and lives in Kiev. They have not been able to reach her since June 21st. And she lives in one of the high-rise apartments. So they are very concerned about Natalie is her name and her safety. So we want to remember her. Someone asked that we be in prayer and meditation for the situation with Medicare D that the government is proposing to drop, which is going to hurt because our government is not announcing their names. It's not on the news. You have to look for it because we are not being told how many people are losing their lives. So I will call the names of the people that she sent me, who Marines who lost their lives this week. Just Brett Lindley, 29. Matthew Wellkirk, 29. Justice Bartett, 27. Dave Santos, 21. Jesse Reed, 26. Matthew Johnson, 21. Zachary Fisher, 24. Sheldon Tate, 27. All are Marines who gave their lives this week for us. We remember them. May they rest in peace and their families at this time. Are there other things you would like to mention this morning? Then we will have a moment of prayer. Use the silent time however you wish. If you believe in prayer, please use it to lift up the things we've mentioned this morning, as well as anything else that's on your heart. If you believe in just meditation, just sitting in some quiet time, perhaps some self-reflection on how we can be better humans on this earth, or just shaking off last week. If you had a bad week, just shake it off and get your mind set to start a new and better week. A few moments of quiet. Amen. Our message today piggybacks on the message that Shea brought to us last week when we talked about AI and technology and how we, as people of faith, need to be thinking about what's happening in our world in this area. And how should we or how could we respond? And he brought a very informative message last week, and we had a really good discussion. And this Sunday, we are hearing from Julie Rake, who is a physician and a trauma survivor. Her focus has been aligning mind, body, and spirit. She talks about how we have unimaginable technology at our fingertips today, innovations that a few years we would never have imagined. Yet we are facing exploding social and mental health crisis. The second leading cause of death for 10 to 25-year-olds is suicide. And this is a very poignant message, and I think we'll have a lot to talk about after we hear Dr. Julie Rake.
What if I told you that a hardened criminal changed my perspective about love forever? I'll never forget it. It was 25 years ago. I was watching the news that featured a prison cat program. I'd never heard of that before. Cats and kittens were given to vetted inmates to care for and raise. This interview highlighted one particularly rough-appearing inmate. What he said moved me profoundly. He said raising this kitten into a cat had transformed his entire being. It had rehabilitated him on many levels because he said, and I quote, "It was the first time in my entire life that I'd ever experienced love." Tears ran down my face as I watched this man cradling the orange cat in his weathered arms. Today, I'd like to share with you why this topic matters and why it is more relevant right now than any other time in history. Consider this. We live amongst unimaginable innovation. We have space travel, robotic limbs, quantum computers, gene editing, driverless cars, and AI. But in this age of incredible innovation, we're seeing growing rates of anxiety, depression, mental health disorders, homelessness, addiction, and suicide. Why in an age of modern miracles and technologic advancements are we suffering such desperation and destitution? After practicing medicine for 25 years, I can tell you, many of our greatest human struggles can be traced back to one place, where love was absent. When I say the word love, what comes to mind for you? Many people think romance, a partner, or a warm memory. But the kind of love I'm talking about today is different, not mere emotion or a fragile sentiment. It is the unyielding forge of biology itself, a life force. It's the disillusion of the self's brittle shell where ego gives way to service. And like the mitochondria of the soul, it's a powerhouse that burns its own reserves to fuel another's ascent. Like the theory of quantum entanglement, it defies the illusion of separation, where every act of kindness ripples in waves, shaping and lifting our evolution. Love builds complex neural networks in a baby's brain. It calms stressed nervous systems, and it heals wounds that pharmaceutical medications could never reach. In this age of artificial intelligence, disconnection, and division, love is the antidote. I can hear the skeptics. Love as an antidote sounds whimsical and naive. But my insight comes from my own healing journey, from my life's work, and from my research and inquiry into the science of love and the mysteries of the heart. As a survivor, I lived it. In the pre-dawn hours, on a cold November morning, when I was 16 years old, walking to my bus stop, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to find a man wearing a surgical mask coming quickly towards me. That attack on a street in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, was nothing short of terror. The memories would come in fragments. Police cruiser lights spinning through the shutters of my childhood home, my knees tucked into an oversized sweatshirt, my mind racing, my heart thumping. In an instant, I had acquired incapacitating post-traumatic stress disorder. I lost any shred of hope or trust I had left within me, along with my will to live. Even before that event, life was a struggle. I grew up in insecurity and endured many traumas. By the time I was 18 years old, I lived with anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, and debilitating depression. To numb the pain, I used alcohol and distraction. I tried multiple pharmaceutical medications and various therapies. Nothing created lasting change. It wasn't until I found healing within the safety of love and through a dedicated meditation practice that true healing would begin. Since that time, I've given my life to helping others heal. I've not only practiced the art of healing, I'm the embodiment of it. I stand before you today as a testament to the potential of the human spirit and to the power of love. For 25 years, I've sat within the stories of my patients. I've seen them through anxiety, depression, PTSD, and crippling grief. I've laid my hands on the friendless, the heartbroken, and the sick. I've seen Western medicine fail patients who come bearing their hearts and leave after quick visits frustrated, pharmaceutical prescription in hand. And the maladaptive behaviors and dysfunctional cycles repeat over and over and over. And so I started doing something new with my patients. I started treating each one of them like irreplaceable treasures with great love, care, and patience, and something new began happening. They were having better outcomes. A substantial body of research supports that healthcare providers who are empathic, compassionate, and loving are linked with better patient outcomes. I hadn't performed any magic or miracles. It was simply the power of love that had that transformative effect. The power of love is not only supported in story and anecdote, it is deeply rooted in scientific inquiry. In babies, the presence of love is crucial for the activation of vital brain networks. A loving parent and baby's nervous systems will synchronize or co-tune. It's called synchrony. The more love, the more synchrony. Synchrony ignites a cascade of health benefits to include better attachment style, reduced stress hormones, emotional resiliency, and a robust immune system. Do you remember the last time you locked eyes with your baby, a grandchild, or a friend's baby, and felt that pure yearning innocence staring back at you? In that gaze, limbic resonance, their mirror neuron system is being activated. This is a complex network in their brain that will lay the foundation for mental and emotional well-being, empathy, and trust. You see, a baby bathed in attuned love will blossom into a healthy, thriving, resilient adult. What happens when love is absent? Infants deprived of love and care in orphanages often fail to thrive. Many die. The Adverse Childhood Experience Study of 1995 to 1997 reveals that children who grow up in abuse and neglect experience negative outcomes across the board. These include more mental and emotional health disorders, more addiction, more homelessness, more chronic disease, and even early death. In medicine, there's something called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. We commonly call it broken heart syndrome. The loss of great love can literally weaken the walls of our heart, sometimes fatally. You see, love is not mere emotion, it's powerful medicine. It's crime prevention, addiction prevention, and loneliness prevention. This isn't fluff, this is science. Love is strategy. Why does all this matter? because we're at a breaking point. Parents fear sending their kids to school amid rising violence, while children are told to carry naloxone in their backpacks to fight fentanyl overdose. Adults face endless uncertainty, while youth suicide is the second to third leading cause of death among 10 to 20-year-olds in the United States. We are breaking under the weight of despair, division, and eroding hope. What can we do about it? Here are 3 tools to remember. We reconnect, raise, and radiate. First, we reconnect because we're more disconnected than ever from ourselves and each other. We've been taught to go outward for our needs. I'll be happy when I get that CEO position, when I pay off my bills, when I find my soulmate. Those are wonderful goals to have, but the truth is, the solutions exist inside of us. Everything we've reached outward for, pills, potions, endless scrolling, and narratives, they're a dim echo to what's inside of us. Beneath the stress, conditioning, and inherited fears lies our true essence, the unfiltered spark of the soul, like children, before the world dulled their shine, vibrant, creative, curious, non-judgmental, peaceful, joyful, loving. That's not a luxury. That's our factory setting, the original software of the soul. And when we return here, we stop outsourcing our aliveness and unlock clear-seeing solutions. Solutions that could heal all of us and end useless suffering. Solutions that appear obvious once we remember we're born of the same intelligence that grows redwoods from seeds and weaves sunlight into tulips. Number 2, we raise ourselves. When we stop going outward for our drugs, dramas, and distraction, we naturally raise our own level of consciousness, which is our innate capacity for healing and growth. You see, we humans are wired for something much bigger, something transcendent. And throughout history, scientists, scholars, and sages have outlined models to describe this quality innate to us all. Psychologist Abraham Maslow called it a pyramid of needs, climbing from basic low-level survival at the base of the pyramid to self-actualization at the top, becoming the most we can be and achieving our full potential. The David Hawking scale rates emotions from low, like fear, anger, and shame, to high, like love, joy, and unity. And even the ancient medical system of Ayurveda discusses the chakras, energy centers that start at the base of the spine, governing mere physical survival, to the crown of the head, embodying the qualities of peace, joy, unity, and enlightenment. But raising ourselves doesn't have to be understood in a purely philosophic way. We can look to neuroscience to teach us the neural correlates of raising ourselves. Our brain is neuroplastic, which means that it's malleable and changeable. Just think of going to the gym and lifting heavy weights on your biceps every day. Over time, your biceps will become harder, larger, and stronger. Our brain is like that. What we focus on and do every day affects and shapes our brain. You know what it feels like when you're fearful, frazzled, or angry? That's the limbic brain kicking in, a lower, more primitive animal brain center handling fight or flight. There we're hypervigilant, on edge, and anxious. There's no room for clear thinking. What keeps us trapped there? News images of fear, violence, unfortunate events, unprocessed emotional trauma, political division, anger, outrage, chaos. These stressors lock us into a lower, more primitive animal brain center, like the bottom of Maslow's pyramid, merely surviving. We're disconnected, distracted, anxious, and angry. You see, the qualities of love, compassion, kindness, empathy live in a higher brain center. It's our prefrontal cortex. If we want to create a better world, more peaceful, just, and sustainable, we must inhabit that higher brain center. There we unlock clear thinking, emotional control, moral reasoning, more empathy, more trust, more understanding. You might say, how do I climb into my higher brain center in a chaotic world? Well, there's many ways, meditation being one of the most potent. And the science is more nuanced, meaning The brain works as a network and not floors in a building, but it makes the point. And number 3, we then radiate. When we reconnect back to ourselves and raise ourselves, we then radiate that health, healing, happiness, and vitality to all those around us in a ripple. Neuroscience teaches us we're like radio towers or tuning forks. Our mood and energy contagious to all those around us. I can hear the skeptics again, and here's what they're saying. There's really bad people out there. I'm a good person. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Why do I need to change and transform myself? These people need to change. The problem with that enduring narrative is that no matter how badly we wish for these people to change, we have no control over that. We only truly control ourselves. Lao Tzu, the ancient philosopher poet, said, if you want to awaken all of humanity, you must first awaken all of yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give the world is that of your own self-transformation. Imagine taking these transformations everywhere. Foster care, group homes, victim support services, domestic violence shelters, juvenile detention centers, prison reentry programs, each our own jobs and professions. That's where healing happens. History teaches us that humanity has evolved through our darkest hours, from barbaric sacrifices to brutal executions. We are not just capable of progressing, we are wired for it. But the outdated structures and mindsets that have brought us here cannot lead us forward. Albert Einstein captured this struggle perfectly. He said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Which means we need new ways of being and thinking to transcend this current paradigm. You see, change will never come from policymakers, politicians, or governments. It will emerge from the hearts of each one of us. Envision our planet viewed from above, a beautiful blue sphere where we're all interconnected. From this perspective, divisions over race, religion, and territory appear irrational. It's like the cells in our very own body fighting each other. Doesn't that sound absurd? We are one human family existing together precariously on this precious blue dot. When we uplift ourselves, we uplift all of humanity. Do you remember the prison inmate with the sad eyes, cradling the orange cat in his weathered arms? Love not only transformed him, it affected everyone around him. That is the antidote that will heal our suffering world. This is a call to action. Our future hinges on the choices we make collectively. You see, love is not mere emotion. It is the very key to our evolution. And I'll leave you with a snippet from a poem that I wrote. Today, I remind you a different story, one that's buried in your bones, awaiting excavation like an ancient temple of stones. Did you know you are a miracle, the greatest treasure and design? And every breath that you take is a gift from the divine. Tonight, when you lay your head in the darkness before you depart, who or what is calling to you from the depths of your own beating heart? And as we awaken into a brand new day, let's embrace a revolutionary narrative. Remember that love is our way back home, our most important evolutionary imperative. Thank you.
Let me share with you some questions that she posed as follow-up discussion. How does the rapid rise of automation and artificial intelligence alter your daily human interactions and relationships? In what ways do you feel digital connections has inadvertently caused deeper emotional isolation in your life and in your community? How does viewing love as a medicine change the way you prioritize your interactions with others? How can we use love as a tool for crime, addiction, and loneliness prevention? If love keeps no record of wrongs and does not demand its own way, what is one structural change we can make in our lives in our families, in our communities to practice this? What are your thoughts based on what we talked about last Sunday and what you've heard today?
I think I appreciated what she, said, and thinking about, I think the word connection kept coming up for me, and what is an authentic connection, and a connection rooted in love. It seems cliche. I thought of the Beatles, Love is All You Need, right? A great song, but also it's true. And I appreciated her bringing some biological evidence research into thinking about how love can affect us. And when we are affected by love, then we can then in turn affect others. It's that old saying, hurt people hurt people. But I think healed people heal people. And so, are we on the journey to wholeness and path to genuine human connection, or are we sort of uh, finding artificial connections, which are actually exacerbating our sense of connection and isolating us even more, even though we think we're more plugged into the world, when in fact we are just sort of part of the matrix, right?
Yes. I was thinking about what Stephen said this morning, that being in Vietnam, he was looking for a service that was on some format like Zoom. Live streaming, we live stream so many things, and I feel as he does, I'm not really a part of it. I'm sitting watching a TV show. Whereas with Zoom, we interact with each other, and I know it's not the same as in person, but we can interact with each other. And so many times I text somebody or message somebody, or when I really need to pick up the phone and call them. And that's still not a face to face. But I also think, how many times do we meet somebody for coffee today? Or how many times do we meet up for lunch? In my life, it's become more rare. And I think that's something that perhaps we need to change and get back to that. Eye contact means so much. Um, those were just some thoughts that came to me. I'm eager to hear what you thought.
I'm one of the ones that has loved and lost uh, more than once. And it's hard, but opening my heart again has been good for my health in a
Yeah,
way that I can't describe it.
excellent point. I think, with the story of the cat, and if you've ever had a pet, you can really relate to that story of the cat was the first time he felt loved. And I don't know, there's something, our whole our whole prison system, our whole rehab system of addiction needs to be changed. There needs to be more love there somehow, and I don't know the how, but there needs to be more love there, because we're not helping people, we're not rehabilitating people. People are falling right back into the old patterns. And I think it's an interesting thought. One of her questions was, um, how can we put this into, she mentioned addiction, and oh, how can we use love as a tool for crime, addiction, and loneliness prevention? And I think that's a really good question to ponder. What do we need to change? What do we need to do better?
I agree. We don't have time to chat about it today, but I do think it's worth looking into. Michel Foucault, um, the book was A History of Sexuality, but continental philosopher out of France who really looked at the transition from what he called sort of sovereign power to disciplinary power. And in that shift, one of the big things he highlighted was the sort of penal and like jails and penal punishment and things like that. And so what he argues is that once upon a time, a couple hundred years ago, prisons were meant to rehabilitate people. People would go in and, yeah, they committed a crime and they needed to find a place where they could sort of be withdrawn from society. But the goal was always to rehabilitate them into society. Whereas now, our systems, what happens in the shift to what he calls disciplinary power or biopower, is that the person who commits the crime becomes a criminal. And so it's like rather than rehabilitating them, they just become the thing that they did. And what we know in religion is that we can have guilt and say, man, I shouldn't have done this, or that's, but when we have shame, it says, I am this thing that I did. And it reminds me of Brian Stevenson's Just Mercy, and this idea that we are more than our worst mistakes. And I think our society has done a really poor job at that. And so rather than the goal of rehabilitating people and having some love and mercy in our justice system, what we have is sort of this marker of, oh, you did this thing, now you are that thing. You are a pedophile, you are a murderer, you are a whatever. And I don't think that that is consistent with the ethics of love and what Jesus taught, or what so many of the great religious teachers taught us to do. And so I think that's worth wrestling with.
Amen. I agree. And if you recall, and love goes through all religions, and I know we're at church this morning, and love goes through. It's talked about in every holy book, to love thy neighbor and love people and show love. And I don't know if you remember on what you said, Shay, but on Mother's Day, we had a woman speak who had been in prison and had a baby, and they had let her keep her. It was one of the few places that allowed the mother to keep the baby. Usually, you give birth, they yank the baby away, send them in a foster home. But they had a program where she was able to keep her baby with her in a prison block where there were other mothers keeping their baby, and it was experimental and it was highly successful. She said it just totally changed her life to feel the love and the responsibility of her baby being with her. And she had started that program, if you recall, in other prisons. That's another example, Shay, of what we're talking about. Treating people like humans. And she has gotten that started in several other places where there are nurseries and prisons where they can keep their babies. And it has changed their life. So that's exactly what you're talking about, I think, Shay.
Absolutely.
And of course, by scripture, we're all commanded to love. And Jesus didn't say, don't love the prisoner, don't love the addict. Love, period.
It's hard, right? It assumes a vulnerability. Dr.
It
Sacher, were you
is.
going to say something? I saw you take that breath like you were about to say something.
No, I was just thinking about the video. Uh, just the way that she framed some things, it kind of I don't know. I don't want to be too negative about it, but um, like the concept of love was kind of all over the place. Um, I think one of the factors that she mentioned was connection. And to that extent, like if we're calling love as connection, then um, I mean, there's evidence-backed literature that says that the quality of uh, perceived quality of a relationship lowers loneliness and Um, that could be connection, or social cohesion could be connection, and that's been proven to lower violent crime in communities. So I was just like trying to toss around her idea of love and how that's all connected, and it
Mhm.
kind of seems a little pieced together.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Good point. There's a lot of different thoughts there that she had to take apart. That
Yeah, it seems like she was, yeah, pulling it from a bunch of different sources, and I, I don't know. Yeah, it just seems a little interesting, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's interesting in a good way or not. Just the way
That's
that she
okay.
presented.
It's
That's okay.
I think it's worth too, one of the things I thought about was, especially with the disruptions with our Wi-Fi today, as I go back and load it into this pre-record and download the video and everything, I'm curious to go back through. One of the nice things about YouTube and TED Talks in particular is they have the script. So I'd like to maybe spend a little time with the script to kind of see. Sometimes when I read something, it's a little easier to kind of follow than it is when you're
Right.
disrupted and here's an ad and all that stuff. And I'm really sorry about that. There was apparently a problem with the link and then Wi-Fi, but I'm curious to sit down and re-listen to it and kind of give it in its fullness and then go back and kind of look at the text and wrestle, because I think that is our goal, right? Is to kind of wrestle with what love is and means and does and all of that.
And with what you talked about last week with AI, there's a lot to consider here as we become more and more disconnected. How do we, as people of faith, whatever our faith is or isn't, how do we keep those connections and show that love to people? Because we don't really show it through a text. We don't really, you know, I think it's something we all need to think about, is being more aware of our interpersonal connections.
Yeah, and and the power dynamics of them and what does love require of me to love you know more than the platitude, right? What's at stake in this relationship of love? For example, loving the other, or as Jesus taught, loving your enemy.
Yeah.
That's gonna require a certain vulnerability and also whereas I think love, we've kind of Hollywoodized and Disneyfied what love is and means. It's like a feeling when in fact it's more of like a probably we might need to think of it as a commitment that requires something from us and of us. And so in that sense, it's such a complicated thing, but I think that's the point, right? I think the goal of wrestling with what does love mean and require of me to for it to actually be love and not just some project or feel,
Yeah.
fuzzy feeling or
There's a, there's a song uh, that says it very well. Love hurts. Love hurts.
I
It
love that
does.
song. Yes, Tom.
And I hear people say, people my age say, I know because years ago, I don't know, families weren't as huggy and lovey and as perhaps as I hope they are now, but I hear people say, I know my parents loved me, but I don't remember them ever really hugging me or saying, I love you. But I know they loved me. And I can kind of relate to that because things were different years ago in families. And I think that's something we maybe need to verbalize a little bit more to people. I love you. I really love you. And some people don't like to be touched, but people that do, I often say to people, are you a hugging person? And if they'll say no, that's fine. But if they are, let's hug because that touch means something. And maybe we're getting away from that. It's not a good thing if we are not able to express to a friend, I love you. I love you so much. It it means everything. And that can even be said over a phone. I, I think
Tom's got me thinking about all these songs, Make You Feel My Love, Bob Dylan. There's a great Jackson Brown song called "A Human Touch." But yeah, what is it we need to feel loved? Yeah.
I think it's something we can all just think about going forward as we live our daily lives. How are we really showing people we love them when we're not person to person all the time?
Well, the question of what is love is very close to the question, what is faith?
Yes.
Uh, they're very similar, but very hard to define.
Yes. Well, Shanti is not here this morning because she has no internet. But we're going to have our closing reflection, musical reflection this morning. And I think it talks to what we've talked about this morning, what the world needs now.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen, Lord, if you want to know what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now.
Thank you, Ashanti.
Yes. And I just saw a quote on there, may love be every step of your life. And that is so true. And we try to show our love at Wedgwood with projects that we do, working with Time Out Youth, our laundry project where we go on a Sunday morning and people that need help with laundry and finances, we do their laundry for them. All kinds of projects that we have done. And in order to do this, we do need financial support. So we do appreciate anything that you can do, small or large, to help us continue our mission of social justice in helping people. We always like to have a call to action where we think about what we've heard this morning and how we can take that into the real world in our lives in the upcoming week. What are your thoughts on that this morning? I think just being more conscious in our daily lives and our interactions with people over social media and in person as how we are eye to eye contact, how we are being totally with them in the moment. Other thoughts? Taking love into the world, sometimes just something as simple as speaking to the cashier at the checkout, can make a difference to them, thanking them for what they do. Or when you have a delivery driver come up, it's been hot lately, and I always thank them and tell them to be safe out there and ask them if they'd like a bottle of cold water. Little things like that show people that you do care about them. And I think we just all need to be more conscious. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Small acts of service.
Absolutely. Then our closing words this morning. Go into the world with courage. Love fiercely and live justly. Travel lightly and walk gently upon the earth. Honor all people. Embrace our global neighbors. May the spirit of love and compassion anchor your footsteps. May the fire of radical love warm your hands, now and forevermore. Go in peace, and until we gather again next Sunday morning.